Are you ready?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey man, how you doing?
I've had the chance to do a lot of research about you. And what I find interesting is you were described as, what was it? Gripping and powerful lyrics?
Evocative.
And there was evocative in there? That was, who was that from? Player?
Performer
magazine. Now, how long ago was this interview?
Probably the last time I put out an EP, so maybe within the past couple of years or so.
Okay, and you still have it as your, like, you really love that quote.
Yeah, well, it's just so good, and yeah, I mean, the new record is just out now, so we don't have a lot of noteworthy quotes just yet.
Okay, well, throughout the interview, I'll start thinking of a quote for your next album.
Okay.
So I'll come up with a quote, and then at the end, maybe we'll have something that you could put as your headline on your website. So as we do this, just know that in the background, I'm thinking of that the whole time.
Okay.
All right. So tell me a little bit about the album, Pioneer Spirit.
Pioneer Spirit is really a type of album that I kind of wanted to make, you know, without having to pander to do something, for example, like to fit into like the pop world or like the alt country world. And so what we have is like the pop songs that I've been writing that I'm kind of known for, combined with you know, these like older, more organic sounds. So we'll have like drum loops with a banjo and harmonic in the background and a pop hook. And I think that's one of the things that makes the record stand out. I spent over a year on it. Spent too long working on this record, but I'm just glad it's finally done.
Banjos are really hot right now.
Yeah, man.
Do you find that you're influenced by what other artists are doing, or are you just completely organic in yourself and you're sitting in a studio being like, what would fit here? Banjo.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly trying to be like, you know, what would Bob Dylan do if he were, you know, well, I know what Bob Dylan would do right now. He put on a Christmas record last year. So, no, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely influenced by people like, Paul Simon, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, and also, you know, the songwriters of today, like Ron Adams, Marcus Mumford. But yeah, I guess yeah, that all works in my head somewhere, but I try and keep it fresh, try and keep it original, and I like to say that I'm a little different, stand out in my own way.
Now, your album just came out. Now, what's that like? For you, is it like giving birth? Like finally getting your art out there? Is it nerve-wracking? Is it exciting? Explain how you feel when you finally get to release an album.
Absolutely, you know, you raise this kid from a pup, and all of a sudden it's like, it's either, you know, your baby they've gotten to know so well, and now there's a harsh, scary world, and it's like, am I song's gonna survive? The great thing about this record is that my manager actually just gave birth to his son. And Matt Rafal, he's been really helpful in the whole process of my album and like my upcoming tour. And so, you know, my CD release, the speech is, Matt, you know, you have your child, and you don't know this, but you have another baby. You have a Babini baby. And it's my album, The Pioneer Spirit.
And you're a big whiskey lover, because we were talking about this. The album is loosely based or named after a whiskey. Give me the backstory, and how much whiskey do you drink daily?
All the time. Too much right now.
I'm
doing a great job at keeping this together. There was a liquor store right next to the music studio where I recorded my record.
Great.
And every day, because my producer, or one of my producers, a lot of people working on this record, but one of the dudes who worked on this record is a friend of mine from music school, and now he's a music composer at a sound design house in New York. So he worked kind of, you know, basically for peanuts. You know, you know, he kind of worked for not a lot of dough up front. So what I would do to kind of just be like, thank you so much for working and all this hard work. Every day, I'd show up with a new thing of whiskey. And so they had a blind taste test at this liquor store of all these fancy whiskeys in New York, and the one that won the blind taste test was called the Pioneer Spirit. So I ended up naming the album that.
Well, hopefully your album wins a blind listen test.
Okay.
Which one do you like the best? Pioneer Spirit.
Nice.
Now, as you're writing the album and you're putting this all together, what do you find to be the hardest part of this?
I guess just letting it go. You know, just like letting it be out there. You know, you sit on something and you just like hum and haw. And the way this album came together was just like, there was a lot of songs I wrote, and then I picked the best 20 out of that, and I picked the best 10 out of those. And now it's just finally just being able to just like let go, you know, just like you're about to skydive, and you just got to trust that the chute's gonna go up, and that you'll be landing safely.
For some musicians, that's actually the hardest part of the entire process.
Yeah.
Is that final moment where you're like, okay, the album's done. I got to stop tinkering with it.
Yeah.
I mean, a famous story would be Axl Rose and his
what
album.
Was it called?
It was called The Album That Was Never Released.
Yeah.
He spent like 10 years tinkering with it, and his masterpiece turned into garbage, essentially.
Yeah.
And so I think that's great that you identify that it's hard, but you got to do it.
Love you, Axl Rose. I'd love to open for you sometime, and my thoughts do not coincide with whatever this man is saying.
Alexis Babini does not reflect my opinions. Well, I mean, it's true. It is a hard part of the entire process, is the letting go, and I know that it's like having a baby. You're like putting it out there, and you're hoping that it's ready, like you said. That is the baby going to be okay in this scary, cruel world? And so kudos just for releasing an album.
Thanks, man.
And it makes it even cooler that you named it after a whiskey, which is...
Yeah.
If only it smelled like whiskey, it might make it a little bit better. Like if the paper smelled like
a little
whiskey.
scratch and sniff?
Yeah, you should have consulted me before you did that.
That'll be the deluxe package of the, folded bag. Brought to you by Trey Morgan.
Yep.
Oh, it smells like whiskey. Oh.
So you got the album out, your single, Shut Up and Kiss Me, you released on Valentine's Day. What's coming up for you? What do you have on the horizon?
Just a lot more tour dates with some of my friends. Probably another music video. It's going to come out sometime this year. It's going to be a little different than the last one we put out on Valentine's Day. And just getting the content out to fans, just keeping people on their toes. Like, oh my God, now this and now that.
And now he's at a hospital too. I want to talk about that.
Oh, right.
You are going to be performing for some kids with a charity I know a lot about and is close to my heart, which I'm so happy that you're a part of this, Musicians on Call. Like, how did this come about? How did you join the team at Musicians on Call?
My mom actually works in hospitals. She's orthopedic manufacturing devices, and she's very in tune. My mom and my dad actually both work in hospitals for their profession, and one of the things my mom found, because my mom, she's my #1 fan, and she's like, there's this charity that goes to hospitals. It's called Musicians on Call, and so, and I was like, oh, cool. That's something that's amazing. And I don't even know like if I'm good enough to like be a part of something that wild and intense. And the more I got to, because that was right when I moved to New York, and the more I got to know people, the more I got to play around. I'd see, their stickers, or I saw that they did a giveaway with Bieber, and so these people, they're just like, they're a pretty tremendous charity. And I finally contacted them, and after a little bit of a screening process, they started putting me with their program in hospitals. Like I would go, and I played 5 different hospitals in New York City, and now they're putting me on tour, and I'm playing some hospitals in different cities in my tour.
That's fantastic. So these dates at these hospitals around the country are mixed in with your tour?
It is, yeah, and it's a little bit of a hustle, because it's like, well, I gotta make sound check at this time, but it's just way worth it, and it's way worth like all the trouble, because it's just a tremendous thing. And I've seen it in the hospitals. I've seen people, they get really psyched. It's the best audience I've ever played for.
And they all love the music, which is really the best part. So congratulations on that. Congrats on the album, Pioneer Spirit.
Thank you.
We'll see you with Aaron Carter. We'll also see you at Musicians on Call. You're traveling the country.
Yes.
Album is out, in stores now. Pioneer Spirit. Alexis Babini, thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man.